See, the Israelis, the Jewish religion, they still have, I think, an eye for an eye kind of deal going because they don't believe Jesus exists. They're waiting for their Jesus to come still. They don't believe our Jesus is the true God. So they still believe in eye for an eye, I think. Um, there's a story actually. My sister went to Israel, um, a while back. She's an engineer, and she was sitting in a she was sitting in a restaurant slash bar, and of course she looks like me. She's a very handsome woman. She was sitting in a restaurant bar with a couple of Jewish engineers, and there was an Israeli guy sitting across the table, and he started cussing. He got up and started cussing at her, and he said, "Get out of here, you damn Muslim Palestinian! Just get out of here." I'm glad I wasn't there because there would have been a big problem if I was there. But so yeah, she got up and she said, I'm not even Palestinian. I'm Coptic Orthodox Christian Egyptian. He didn't care. He said, "You're all Arabs. I don't care. You look like an Arab. You can't be here." Of course, the two engineers, calmed him down and said, "Hey, she's with us," all this stuff. So there's just a lot of hatred in Israel for Arabs in general. On the other side, when I was living in Egypt as a Christian, my mom made me wear a cross when I went to school. And, it was just me and another girl who were Christian in the whole school. It was a private school. And, the reason why I got into martial arts since, I was 8 years old is because every day the Muslim kids would rip off the cross off my chest and beat the living shit out of me. So just because I'm a Christian. So on both sides, it's really bad. There are really hateful people in Israel, and there are hateful people in Palestine or in the Arab world toward Christians, towards Jews. So, just keep an open mind for everything. There are good people everywhere. Just because somebody looks like an Arab or somebody looks like an Israeli doesn't mean that, they hate the other side. So just think about that. What's up, beautiful Sharmutas? Welcome to my channel. I'm going to react to this interview that went super viral, which is absolute insanity. I think it's like 16 million now views within the past 3-4 days, between Bassem Youssef, who's an Egyptian, basically the Egyptian Jon Stewart, to make it very easy for you, and Piers, of course, we interviewed him, and it was his views about the Israeli Palestine war that's happening right now. I'm an Egyptian Coptic Orthodox Christian, so I'm on neither side, to be honest with you. I just feel really bad for both sides right now, what's happening. And you have to understand that there are good people and bad people on each side. So don't be judging based on what you see in the media, because most likely it's false. If the media is siding with Israel or some media is siding with Palestine. So it's really unfair to just label people as one, the entire Palestine, for example, as a terrorist organization, which they're not. There are really good, Palestinians that have nothing to do with what happened October 7th. So just try to be more open-minded about everything. But let's watch the interview.
First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. I mean, we kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, my wife's family, they live in Gaza. They have cousins and uncles there, and their house also was bombed. We haven't been able to communicate with them for the past 3 days. Communication are lost. So we don't know actually what is the, how are they doing, but we're used to that. I mean, it's just like, it's very repetitive. We're used to that. We're used to them being bombed every time and moving from one place to the other. It's just like those Palestinians, they're very dramatic. Israel killing us. But they never die. I mean, they always come back. They're very difficult to kill, very difficult people to kill. I know because I'm married to one. I tried many times, couldn't kill him.
I mean, there's a dark humor there, and I understand why. Because
no, it's not dark humor.
You can tell well, Bassem Youssef has been married to his wife, who's 100% Palestinian for years. And of course, you can tell he's being very sarcastic, unlike the comments I saw for that interview, people saying, I hate Bassem Youssef for saying all this. And you can tell Piers Morgan is trying really hard not to laugh because the situation is very dire right now. So he's trying very, very hard not to laugh.
I try to get to her every time, but she uses our kids as human shields. I can never take her out.
Again, I understand the humour, but to be serious, Bassem, about this, tonight there is...
I will be serious. Now, I will be serious. I was watching your interview with Ben Shapiro, and I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I think that Ben Shapiro is one of the smartest people who ever walked this earth. He's very, very smart. I follow him, and I believe everything he said. And when he came on your show, his solution was, and I quote, his solution was that the solution for this is for Israel to annex Gaza and to kill as many son of bitches as possible to make sure that this will never happen again. And anyone,
once again, is being very sarcastic. Ben Shapiro, I think that what he mentioned right here is, basically what Ben Shapiro said was kill, as many as it takes to take over Gaza and make sure this never happens. It's like labeling the entire Palestinians as terrorists, and that's not true. All you have to do is look at just videos and pictures of little kids being blown up to pieces, and Palestinian kids, and it's just not fair to label the entire Palestine as terrorists. And just there's no lives that matter as long as you get rid of Hamas. That's not a good thing to say.
who call for a ceasefire will be a terrorist sympathizer. So God forbid, I don't want to be labeled as a terrorist sympathizer. So I agree with Ben Shapiro. I think we should kill as many son of bitches as possible.
Well, let me,
so
okay,
far,
but Bassem, let me...
so far, 3,500 people were killed, including 5,000 son of bitches in the bombing of the Baptist hospital as we speak right now. 1/3 of those 3,500 were children. So my question to Ben Shapiro is, how many more son of bitches do we need to kill so Ben Shapiro is happy?
Let me play to you what he actually said on my show.
He did. Go back to your interview.
No, he didn't. That was another interview. But let me play what he said to me here.
Well, frankly, I don't believe in proportionate response to terrorism. I believe that the way that you stop terrorism is with wildly disproportionate response. That doesn't mean in terms of targeting civilians. It means in terms of killing as many terrorists as humanly possible and allowing them to dictate the term.
So the problem is here is, he said disproportionate attacks, but the problem is Hamas is embedded with civilians. So if you just bomb the shit out of a building that has some Hamas terrorists, you kill kids, you kill everyone. And another point I want to make is if Israel keeps bombing with the support of the US, of course, keeps bombing buildings and civilians, and they just say, oh well, it's collateral damage. The problem is those little babies and kids, they grow up, their entire family was wiped out. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to become Hamas terrorists. So you're basically grooming little babies and little kids to become even more like an endless supply of Hamas terrorists. So there has to be a better way than this, than just keep bombing. I mean, it's easier for Israel to bomb rather than do the ground troop thing. I think it's much better for them to invade doing ground troop. At least it's going to be more accurate.
In terms of engagement, by hiding behind civilians in areas that they're supposedly responsible for, means that the only option for Israel is to surrender to Hamas's hatred of its own citizens, its willingness to use its own children as human shields. No country worth its salt could ever do that.
Now, that is substantively different to what you said he said, right? He's talking there
but
specifically about Hamas terrorists.
I agree with him. The thing is, the question is, what is a proportionate response? Because it has been different from one tier to another. So if you look to this graph, for example, this is the death of Israeli and Palestinians, and it's changing from one year to year. It's like fluctuating like crypto. So my question is today, what is the going rate today for human lives? I mean,
if you look at this chart right here that is showing The left side, your left, I guess, his right, but the left side where there's no colors, that's the Israeli deaths. You see how extremely disproportionate that is. The right side where the fuchsia or pink, I think I'm colorblind, whatever color that is, you see how ridiculously much higher Palestinian death is compared to the other side with no color of like maybe 50, 100 deaths versus that 1 year you see where it's actually touching his finger, his middle finger. I mean, that's like 5,000 or more deaths in Palestine. So this has been going on for a long time, guys. It's just very sad.
In 2014 was a great year for Ben Shapiro. 88 Israelis were died, and there was 2,329 Palestinians killed on the other side. That is one Israeli for 27 Palestinians. That is a very good exchange rate. What I'm saying is, what is the exchange rate for today? You guys will be happy. That's my question.
Well, it's not me. It's not me, guys. I'm not on either side.
No, not you. Like when I say you guys, I say like the people on the other side of that. I know that you don't think like that, Piers. You're one of the good guys. But let me tell you something. I mean, the reason that I'm using this is that
he definitely doesn't mean that, because Piers Morgan, I mean, I think he's more skewed towards Israel, because just recently he said about it was definitely fake news that Hamas beheaded like 50 babies or something, and I think Biden said that he saw the images, and then it turned out to be all fake news. It never ever happened. They're basically just propaganda. It makes people think that all of Palestine are just savages, which they're not. The Hamas are savages. The people are not. They are innocent. They don't even support Hamas. A lot of them don't even support Hamas.
I mean, I can't remember what happened in 2014, and there was no music festival, but there must be something. I mean, they must do something. It is their fault. It has to be something. I mean, 2018, 300 Palestinians died. Who's counting, you know? So the thing is, what my question is, let's find what is the exchange rate for human life today, so we expect the future death of Palestinians, and we'll be happy to it.
Then the question then becomes again about proportion. I don't disagree that there's been a lot of bad stuff on both sides going back historically for decades. But if we agree that this was on a different level altogether, quite deliberately by Hamas, designed to provoke. No, here's my question. Let me ask you a question. And the question, because you raised it earlier about proportion. I honestly don't know what the proportionate response is. I honestly don't. I don't. I've been watching the airstrikes this week thinking...
So what's your question?
Well, I would ask you, if you were Israel, what would you...
If I was Israel.
If you were Israel and that had happened to you, what would you think would be the appropriate way for the country to respond?
I would do exactly like Israel did, kill as many people as possible, since the world is letting me do it. I mean, I can do it because I can, you know? But the thing is, you know what? I agree with you. And you know what? I'm going to be even ahead of you, because I see the question coming. Do you condemn Hamas for the atrocity? Yes, I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas is the source of all evil. They're a reason for everything. And you know what? Let's, for a minute, imagine a world without Hamas.
Right.
What will this world look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control in the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only through August, 37 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. I can go on and on and on and on.
No, but you don't need to, because in a way you're preaching to the choir. I've followed this crisis.
Oh no, you're not preaching. So the thing is, like,
in the sense that I know that what you're saying has validity. Of course,
Piers. By the way, Piers. I am at a disadvantage here. I can hear you. I cannot see you. I am in a claustrophobic room, and so please cut me some slack and don't interrupt me and interrupt my points.
Sure.
So, because this has to be fair.
Understand.
Because if you want to only hear your opinion, I can just condemn Hamas and go home. I can do that. So, do you want to do that, or do you have a much more nuanced conversation?
No, I absolutely want to have a nuanced conversation. I wasn't aware I was interrupting you. I thought I was letting you speak.
Amazing. So let's. I mean, I would say I really applaud Israel for doing one thing that no military force in the world does. Because I heard Ben Shapiro and I heard Ron DeSantis, and they said, They said Israel is the only military force in the world that warns civilians before bombing them. I mean, how fucking cute. That is so nice of them. Because with this logic, if Russian troops started warning Ukrainians before bombing their houses, we're cool with Putin, right? I mean, okay, Habibi, you have warned them, go invade, it's fine, you have done your job. I mean, the thing is, and I understand all, and all.
Okay, Habibi, he's absolutely right. The world is supporting Ukraine, and they are definitely all against Putin, but he's doing the same thing, or Israel's doing the same thing Putin is doing, except they're warning citizens before they bomb the shit out of hospitals and buildings that have a little bit of Hamas members. So it just doesn't seem fair.
I know.
What would you
know.
think would be an appropriate response by Israel to what happened?
Well, these are years of disproportionate responses of Israel.
Right.
Did it solve the solution? Did it solve the problem?
chart,
Did it work before, so it will work? What will be the surprise this time? What will be the twist that will make this work this time? What? What will be different this time? Seriously,
right.
I mean, like, you are a good man. This is amazing. And you know what is similar? Is when you spread the lies of 40 decapitated babies, although it was refuted. So what happens when people hear that, you know, killing babies is horrible. But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image
Well, who
with
has
a
said
certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who has said
Huh?
that? Who has said 40?
Who has said that? You
has
have
said
said
that?
40 decapitated.
Who has said
you
that?
You have repeated.
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated
No.
babies?
Never.
Ben Shapiro didn't say it?
No.
Ron-
See, you just caught him in a lie right there, because I have the footage of Piers Morgan saying 40 decapitated babies on his show. He was interviewing somebody, I can't remember who it was, but I'll show you the footage.
And Holocaust survivors as hostages, and they massacred young people at a festival. It emerged last night, have even beheaded babies in one village. More than 1,200 Israelis are now believed to have died. And this brutal attack has...
DeSantis didn't say
Nobody
it?
has said...
Okay, Piers,
No, they
nobody
haven't.
said it?
No.
Oh, okay, maybe I am wrong. Decapitated. Here's
You're
the thing.
wrong. I've never said
the
that.
Thing, what happened, no, you're wrong. But the thing is, when Iraq, the thing is, the same thing is happening in Iraq. Ben Shapiro once tweeted, not even about Gaza, about the West Bank, when Israel continued to build the illegal settlement. He said, 2017, Israel likes to build things, and Arabs, not Palestine, not Hamas, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Yeah, I thought that was very ill-advised thing to say.
The Israeli defense minister, he said, those are human animals. And the thing is, Ben Shapiro should know better, because, you know, long before the Holocaust, before...
See, the same thing I said earlier, like Ben Shapiro and a lot of people are labeling Arabs as animals living in sewage. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do to human beings. Just label them, all of them, which I don't think Egyptians are Arabs. I'm going to make a video about actually where, especially Coptic Christian Egyptians, where we come from, we are direct descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Especially the Coptic Orthodox Christians. But anyways, that's a different video.
Jewish people were thrown in the gas chambers. The Nazi propaganda called them rats. Now, as a human being, I will never accept that another human being being thrown into a gas chamber. But a rat, kill 10, kill 1,000, 3,500. They are son of a bitch. They are human animals who live in open sewage and decapitate babies. And because of that propaganda, Mr. Morgan, that guy in Illinois, the 71-years-old guy, he killed, stabbing the 6-year-old Palestinian kid in Illinois 26 times. And he used to play with him. They used to be friends. But he went in, marching into their apartment, stabbing his mother and killing him, shouting, all Muslims could die.
Yeah.
It took you 80 years to change one word from Jewish to Muslim. And then you transferred your guilt to us and took away our land.
Bassem, let me ask you a question.
That deal sucks, man.
Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question.
Ask
How do
him.
we get from where we are now to peace?
Well, first of all, you need to change the perception. Nikki Haley, the American presidential candidate, said, we are in Israel in this because it's a fight between good and evil. Now, if you already decided someone is good, he can do no evil. And if you decide that someone is evil, it's good to kill them. Killing them is good. You see, and the thing is, it is not like something new. I mean, I look at history and I see, I'm sorry to say this, but Westerners has always dealt like this with indigenous people. You first treated them like savages, you know, Native American, First Nation, Aboriginal. They're savages. Kill all the savages. And then when they're almost extinct, you start feeling sorry for them, you know, like animals. So maybe the solution is that we kill as many Palestinians as possible so the few of them that remains do not bother you. And maybe Netanyahu, when he lives for another 100 years, he'll become a tree hugger.
Let me just challenge you on this.
And he will campaign for preserving the three Palestinians.
You keep talking about Westerners like me. Okay, so let me return the favor, okay? Hamas is dedicated to the complete eradication of Jewish people.
I am not the spokesman for Hamas.
I'm not saying you are.
Why do you keep...
I'm not saying you are.
I'm not their spokesman.
You're talking to me.
I fucking hate them.
Bassem,
fuck Hamas. Hamas.
No,
are you happy?
You're missing my point. You're talking in a generalized way about...
He just said some really, really bad Egyptian words. Just very, very bad. He's obviously, Bassem Youssef, he's obviously talking to the Egyptian people. This whole interview is for the Egyptian and Arab people, basically. He could care less what Americans think of what he's saying, Bassem Youssef. He just cares about what the Arab community says. That's why he's speaking a lot of Arabic words, mostly cuss words, and he's basically reaching the Egyptian and Arab communities all over the world.
It was the worst atrocity against Jewish people since the Holocaust. There has to be,
of course,
there has to be a response.
They should be eradicated.
My question for you is, notwithstanding the history, Bassem, what is the proportionate response?
But I don't know. But there's no Hamas in the West Bank, and they're still dying there. So what's your excuse?
I don't have any excuse.
Okay, what's your explanation? Sorry.
That's definitely true. The West Bank has 0 Hamas members, and Israel is still bombing the shit out of the West Bank. So it just makes no sense whatsoever. He's got a really good point there.
20% of Palestinians go through Israeli prison system, whether imprisonment, whether interrogation, whether torture. And the rest of them, they live a life of daily loss of land, of homes, of life, and they are suffocated by this. So let me ask you something. If you are a Palestinian living into these conditions for decades, would you sympathize with your oppressor, or sympathize with the people who claim they resist them even if they are terrorists?
I have made no secret that I think the conditions Palestinians have had to exist under are completely unacceptable. I've said that.
It's very sad. Like, not a lot of people know this, but the Palestinians are literally living in an open air prison. There's checkpoints everywhere. I've seen a documentary, where they talked about this, but literally every corner has a checkpoint, and some Palestinians are not allowed to walk on certain streets, forced by the Israeli government. So it's literally like a prison for them. They can't even leave or go to shops in certain areas or certain streets that they own in Palestine. So it's just very, very sad. The term open air prison is exactly right.
For years. So the question then becomes, how do you forge peace between two warring parts of that region who for decades have approached peace, in my view, with mutual sledgehammers, with no actual desire to have peace? And I think it comes down in the end to great leadership. And I don't think there's great leadership. I don't think, well, hang on, let me make my point. I don't think there's great leadership on either side. Where is the Nelson Mandela figure here to come through all this hatred on both sides?
I don't think there will ever be peace in Palestine, because unless Israel gives up part of the land to show, solidarity and peace, they give them back some land. I mean, there will never be peace. Like my point earlier, the more the war rages on, the more Israel is grooming baby Palestinians and kids to become Hamas. So it's like a never-ending cycle unless they actually give up land. Instead of, creating new settlements for Israel, they keep expanding their territory. There will never be peace. There will always be anger and, like I said, grooming new Hamas members.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to do something that nobody done on your television. You know what I'm going to do on your episode? I'm going to pretend that I'm an Israeli citizen. I'm going to put myself in the place of an Israeli settler in the kibbutz. And I want to speak to my Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, I have voted for you because you have promised us peace and prosperity and security. On the 7th of October, those son of bitches Hamas, they went into the fence that is regularly heavily guarded. Usually if there's like a dove that comes close to it, it will be shot. Those people went in and they went for 6 hours before IDF forces was deployed, killing our friends, our families, kidnapping our grandmothers and babies, and went in. I want to ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, after you have fractured the Israeli community and you have fucked our courts, our Supreme Courts, what are you doing with the money being given to you, to the United States? Also, you are carpet bombing Gaza with absolutely no regard to our hostages, our people. I heard a rumor in the kibbutz that you're doing that you let that happen as an excuse to carpet bomb Gaza, so you push them into Sinai. And I didn't believe that. That's like, not my prime minister. He can never do that. And then I watched an interview for Danny Ayalon. He was your chief advisor. He was also the Israeli ambassador to the United States. And you know what he said, Mr. Prime Minister? He said that the solution for those Palestinians is to go into a vast land of Sinai and live into tent cities temporarily, temporarily, wink wink, until we build Gaza again, and then we invite you back. يعني عبط احنا بقى. يعني فاهمني؟ We've seen this movie before. So
It just said basically, F this, we're dumb. You think we're dumb here, huh? Please subscribe.